Does AI have a role in your garden? Does AI have a role in your life? Is that something that you feel would be beneficial? Hi everybody, I'm Aubrey and this is Crybaby Summon Homestead. And the reason for today's video, we are going to be talking about gardening and houseplants and all that kind of stuff, propagating and certain types of my favorite plants actually. But I want to talk to you about AI and how it's kind of taken over everything. If you're new to my channel and you don't really know me, I'm a gardener. I like to do homestead type projects. I live in a city, as you can hear, but I have a food forest. I garden. I plant a lot of perennials. I planted everything I can think of for the last 24 years or so. Before then, I did house plants like cactus or cacti and other things like that. But I really started getting into gardening decades ago. So it's something that I don't just dabble in. It's beyond a hobby. If you could say it's an obsession, probably so. And I started YouTube about 2 years ago. And about a year in, I decided to go ahead and bite the bullet and splurge and pay for an editing service. It's not like someone else doesn't edit my videos. I do it myself, but I use a program, right? So at first I was paying quite a bit for that program, and it had all kinds of cool bells and whistles. Like it had actual AI avatars, and I actually have a video, I'll link it, of an AI video that I made as satire, because when I was playing with that program, they was kind of like glitching, like hi, I would like to recommend, you know, like or like how they move. They always move the same way. They always move the same way, and you can really tell that it's AI. So I thought it would be interesting. I kind of mixed a little bit of politics in a funny way, not like one side or the other, just in general, with how the news is given to us. And so that was kind of fun. And if it was cheaper and so forth, and I could adjust, because their heads are like way up here, if I could adjust like a little bit more to it, I probably would do some fun lessons for my classes, because I'm a teacher. I'd probably say like do happy birthday call outs and say my kids' names or something, and I would just share it to our Google Classroom or something. Or if a teacher in a different district could use like Canvas or Blackboard or something. So I would be really cute and funny with it. So there's ways you could use it, but I've been seeing it all over social media. And when I went to log into my account to make my last video, they're trying to get me to purchase the premium plan again, because I downgraded to like this basic, you know. I said, you know what, I'm not getting paid on YouTube, and I didn't join YouTube to get paid. It's more for me, it's like a club, like share interests, share our stories, find community. Like if I learn something, pass that knowledge on to somebody else. You know, so I've had a lot of reasons for doing YouTube that wasn't about that. But I was like, I'm paying too much to do something I'm not getting anything tangible back from. So I downgraded. Long story short. Long story. And so when I signed in, it was doing that whole rigmarole of trying to get me to upgrade. And some of the features sound kind of interesting, but some of it I can do without upgrading. And I thought, you know what, this will just be fun. Let me see what AI thinks it knows about gardening. And I'm not going to give it too much to work with. I'm going to give it really basic, kind of dumb down the questions, or like dumb down the statements, and just be like really basic and see, does it just make it more flowery? Does it just add like a little bit more pizzazz or a little bit more interesting vocabulary? Instead of saying nice, does it say like fabulous? I don't know. So I put in, it ended up becoming this like crazy long project that I ended up printing out from the library, because I don't own a printer, because why do that? Why be wasteful? Anyway, so I put in, the first thing I said was, what does AI know about gardening? And this is what AI said back to me. Did you know that AI can actually help you become a better gardener? It's true. From predicting the best planting times based on weather patterns to suggesting the perfect plants for your soil type, AI is like having a green thumb on speed dial. Imagine using an app that analyzes your garden sunlight and moisture levels, giving you tailored advice on when to water or fertilize. Plus, AI can identify pests and diseases just by analyzing a photo of your plants. No more guesswork. And let's not forget about garden design. AI can create stunning layouts based on your preferences and space, so whether you're growing veggies or flowers, AI is here to help you cultivate your green oasis with ease. Happy gardening! Wow. I put in, what does AI know about gardening? I wasn't actually trying to ask AI a question. I was trying to get AI to jazz up that statement, right? To see what would it say that would be more interesting. And I put it said, do you want this to be formal, informal, whatever? Oh, there's like mosquitoes. I said like informal, just like keep it simple, okay? This has a lot of voice, and actually some of it has a little bit of my voice. So that's kind of scary because, like I would say something like cultivate your green oasis. That's something that I would say. It sounds a lot like my voice when I write, and that was kind of creepy. So I was like, okay, that's a great start. So the next question, or the next statement, I was like, okay, I'm not going to say a question this time. I'm going to make a statement. The statement is, gardening is a rewarding activity. Gardening is a rewarding activity. That's 5 words. That's all I had to work with. Gardening, this is what it says. Gardening is honestly one of the most, honestly, why is AI using the word honestly? It's not very honest that AI is using the word honestly. Believe me. Okay, starting over. This is what AI said when I said gardening is a rewarding activity. Gardening is honestly one of the most rewarding activities I've ever taken up. There's something magical about watching a tiny seed transform into a vibrant plant. It's like nature's own little miracle right in your backyard. Plus, the satisfaction of digging your hands into the soil and nurturing something to life is unbeatable. And let's not forget the fresh produce. Growing your own tomatoes or herbs means you get to enjoy the fresh flavors right from your own garden. It's a game changer for cooking, just spending time outdoors, not to mention, gardening is a fantastic way to unwind. Just spending time outdoors, soaking up the sun, and connecting with nature can really boost your mood. Whether you have a sprawling yard or just a few pots on a balcony, there's always a way to get your hands dirty. So if you're looking for a hobby that's both fun and fulfilling, grab a trowel and start planting. You won't regret it. I said, gardening is a rewarding activity. Imagine students at school and they can put in, and by the way, I've caught students. I've already caught students doing this. So gardening is a rewarding activity. So a student could put in one sentence, or any person in the world could put in one thing about gardening or any other topic that they have no clue about. And then AI can give them this thing to say. And then they can have an avatar of themselves saying it. Or they could just memorize it as a script. So that's interesting. By the way, in Google Classroom, I have what's called an originality report. It's a plagiarism checker. And it checks to see if there is any kind of plagiarism. It will match, like, it will tell me this passage, and it'll highlight these parts were taken from National Geographic or NASA.org or whatever. And now it's actually telling us it is like a 47% match with AI, or it's a 100% match with AI. So for those people who think they're going to get away with it, they really will not. But if you're just watching something on social media, or you're watching something like YouTube, which is kind of social media too, and you hear somebody with this kind of voice, it might be AI. And even if it's a real person, it might be a script that somebody got by doing what I did, typing in a sentence. So here's another one. I said, it's not too late to plant a garden. Okay? It's never too late to plant a garden. You can always plant a garden, even if it's inside your house in the middle of winter. So this is what AI says. When I said it's not too late to plant a garden, you know it's really not too late to plant a garden. Seriously, whether you've got a tiny balcony or a big backyard, there's always room for a few plants. Late summer and early fall are perfect for sowing quick growing veggies like radishes, lettuce, and even some herbs. Imagine stepping outside to grab fresh basil for your pasta or crunchy radishes for your salad. Okay, now to critique that one, because if you grow radishes in the summer, I'll do a little picture of what my radishes look like. My radishes are looking crazy because they are bolting. My husband wanted to rip out all of my radishes, and he started ripping them out. Actually, I saw a pile and I said, what are you doing? And he's like, well, your radishes are going to flower. And I'm like, yeah, I want them to, because radish seed pods are edible, and I don't like the radish root. A lot of people do, don't get me wrong. I know that you can cook them. I haven't done it myself. I will try in the future to try to cook them up and see how they are. I've heard that it makes the taste a little bit more mild and palatable for those people who think it's a little bit too pungent. And yes, I think it's pungent. Somebody at the farmer's market, I mentioned, because I said something about like I prefer rutabagas to radishes because I think radishes are pungent. And so he had like this pickled radish, and he's like, tell me if you think this is pungent. And I will be honest, I lied and said it wasn't pungent because I didn't want to hurt his feelings, because he was a farmer and he's so proud of his pickled radishes that he thinks are not pungent. But I was like, that was a little bit much. But so the hot weather right now, we're in July, going into August, in a couple of weeks. And so it will still be hot weather while the radish seeds are sprouting and starting to grow, and they will bolt. Bolt means like to go to seed. They get really tall and they grow flowers, and then the roots will be like these little straggly little things, like a regular root, not a bulb, not like a nice size ball. And I don't mind that because I like the radish seed pods. It says on here to grow basil. So if you're trying to grow like Genovese or sweet basil, that kind of like for the table, not for teas and stuff, that's different variety. Basil also bolts this time of year. It goes to flower. So like I have some basil that's in my front yard and everything. It's beautiful, and I use it for like aromatherapy right now. I could use it for other things, I could use it in like food, but it's so strong. I'm not going to use it for a caprese salad right now because it is about to go to flower. Now you can pinch the tops off the plants and stop them from going to flower, make it bush out more, but the flavor profile changes and it is not the same. Lettuce in July, I'm not sure if you disagree with me, but I'll plant lettuce in July in the shade. It doesn't tell you to do that, but most lettuce varieties in the middle of summer are going to be very bitter. They'll get like a white milky sap and really bitter flavor to them because they will go to seed, and it will happen really, really fast if you plant them in hot weather. So you want to plant your lettuces, like even if you start them indoors and then set them out really early spring, or maybe even direct sow really, really early spring, you can get like a spring harvest of lettuce. Sorry for that sound. And you can plant it late summer where it's maturing into cooler weather. Now they're not cold hardy. So lettuces, unlike kale is cold hardy. But lettuces, they're kind of like a little princess, like princess lettuce. They're really easy to grow and look good. They're not really easy to grow to make them taste good. You have to get your timing right. So if you're growing lettuce in the summer, you want to put it in the shade. If you can try to keep it a little bit keep the climate down around it. You can put mulch around it, and that brings in slugs. So there's a battle there. So you get what you get when you go through AI. They can give you all these pretty words, say that you can grow it. You can technically, Crunchy radishes in your salad. You don't have, for radishes, you can actually eat the greens too. I haven't, but I know you can. Well, I've had a few like little bites, but like not a whole meal of it. So, and I think it's kind of bitter. I like the seed pods. Those are really good. Trust me. Try them. If you like radishes, you'll like radish seed pods. And if you like the idea of radishes, but you find it to be a little bit like astringent, like bitter, like if you don't really like it too much, try the seed pods. And you get them when they're really young, before they get woody. And if they do get woody, go ahead and save the seeds, and then you can plant those. And you'll probably be gathering seeds at just the right time to plant them, where they will actually get you a nice sized bulb. So that works too. All right, so here's another one. I said July in Washington State is a great time to plant. AI said July in Washington State is such a fantastic time to get your hands dirty and start planting. The weather is warm and the days are long, which means your plants have plenty of time to soak up that sunshine. This is a prime time for veggies like tomatoes, peppers, and squash. They thrive in this heat and will reward you with a bountiful harvest. Don't forget about herbs. Basil, cilantro, and parsley love this weather, and they can really elevate your summer dishes. Just make sure to keep them well watered, especially during those hotter spells. And if you're thinking about flowers, now's the time to plant sunflowers and zinnias. They'll add a splash of color to your garden and attract all those lovely pollinators. So grab your gardening gloves and let's make the most of this beautiful July in Washington. Your future self will thank you when you're enjoying fresh produce and vibrant blooms all summer long. Okay, so if you're going to go to a box store and you're going to buy a full-size mature tomato plant, do it. But if you're going to plant tomatoes from seed, you should have been doing that in February and March, because you need the time to actually sprout them on a heat mat with grow lights. And then, and if you're in Washington, and then you plant them outside after the first frost, after the last frost, which is in May, the first week of May. So then that's 8 to 12 weeks. You're planting them and growing them for 8 to 12 weeks, about a week for germination, okay? And then you have a set number of time for those to mature. And I would say if you're going to grow tomatoes in Washington State, I really recommend cherry tomatoes. The grape tomatoes and the currant tomatoes go really crazy and you don't get a lot. The currant type tomatoes and spoon tomatoes, they're just a lot of mess for a little tiny harvest, like tiny little things. But the cherry tomatoes are really, really nice. Almost any variety of cherry tomato is going to do great. Now, when it comes to larger size tomatoes, I really like the seed type that I got for free. It's called, it's Thorburns Terracotta. And Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company, I got them free many times. And don't knock the free ones, because I was buying all these fancy things like Cherokee Purple and stuff, and the Cherokee Purple never did well for me. I love the idea of it, but they'd always get diseases. So I planted the Thorburns Terracotta, and they did great. I got harvests. They even self-seeded by dropping some of the fruit that I didn't get to in time. And I spaced this year, and I didn't plant seeds for Thorburns Terracotta, but I did buy a few of them. I think about two of the terracotta plants from a farmer's market. And now those plants are big. Like, I got them the same size as all my other seedlings. So they probably had been, growing for about 10 weeks. And I got them like in May. And now the plants they already have tomatoes about this big. So I'm going to have real tomatoes, real normal sized tomatoes for my harvest. So when they're talking about growing these things, now cilantro, my husband tried to plant the cilantro seeds I had. It's super, super hot. Cilantro doesn't like the heat. You might try growing something like culantro. There's another one I'm thinking about that's supposed to be like cilantro. But culantro I've heard, and I have seeds for that. I'll do that another one, another video. But culantro is supposed to be like cilantro in flavor, but stronger flavored, and that it is okay with the hot summer sun. So there are a lot of things in summer that don't really thrive, and the things that they're listing here, like peppers, there's no way I'm planting a pepper seed in July. It doesn't tell you you would have to have a mature pepper plant for you to get peppers in Washington State if you planted it in July. So, or you might plant a small one and get an immature fruit right before it freezes. But tomatoes and peppers are perennials. Tomatoes are like more short term. They don't really thrive inside. I brought them inside many times, and it just they don't do really great. But what I would do with tomatoes, if I started late and I didn't get a crop, but I wanted to keep my plant, is bring them inside, and I would like cut them back really good, and then every time they got a sucker, I would propagate the sucker as a clone, and that way I get a jump start on the next year. And that's what I've done. I've done that before, and it did work. Pepper plants, in a potted culture, I've had live from 3 to 5 years. You can probably get them to live longer with the right TLC, but I was doing it more as an experiment. But if you're planting a pepper, peppers take so dang long. Like, I think I would start pepper seeds next time. I'll start them in January. To be real. And I've got space for it, so I'll do that. In January, there's not a lot going around on in the garden, so that'd be a perfect time to plant your pepper seeds inside because they take so awful long. Another statement I put in was, I would like to tell you about some of my favorite perennials. And it says, one of my favorite perennials has to be the daylily. They're super low maintenance and come in so many colors, it's like a rainbow in your garden. Then there's the peony, which is just stunning when it blooms. The fragrance is heavenly, and they're perfect for cutting and bringing indoors. I also love hostas. They thrive in the shade, and their lush foliage adds such a nice texture. And let's not forget about coneflowers, echinacea. They attract butterflies and bees, plus they're drought tolerant, making them a win-win for any garden. Each of these perennials brings something unique to the table, making my garden a vibrant and lively space all year long. It doesn't tell you that some of these plants need to be cold stratified. That means you have to put some of those seeds, like the echinacea or coneflower, basically in a moist, damp environment, cold environment like a refrigerator, for a period of time, and then put it into warm soil so that it thinks it's experienced winter and is waking up. They don't tell you that part. But they are offering the person who's putting this in a lot of experience that they might not have. I do grow hostas and coneflowers and peonies, but does AI know that? Or are they just searching the web? Here's another one. I started having fun. I was like, okay, let me see what else I can put in and see what it will say. Because I'm like, is it reading my mind? It's just like pulling stuff from everywhere. Some of it's true, some of it's not true. So I said, if you lack the commitment of perennials, an annual garden might be up your alley. Okay, because I was trying to thinking, will they get the colloquialism of like up your alley? Like, so it says, if you're not ready to commit to a perennial garden, annuals might just be your best friend. These beauties are like the party guests that come in, make a splash, and leave before the cleanup. You can switch them up every season, so if you're feeling adventurous, you can experiment with colors and styles without any long-term obligations. Plus, they bloom all summer long, giving you that instant gratification. Just remember, they need a little bit more TLC, regular watering and feeding to keep them looking their best. But hey, if you love the idea of a fresh looking every year to your garden and you don't mind a little extra work, an annual garden could be your perfect match. Okay, that's interesting. So then I said, growing vertically is a great way to save space. Have you seen my cattle panel trellis in arbors? Okay, if you haven't, watch some of my videos because I do a lot of vertical gardening. I also use a lot of Mr. Stacky's and other vertical gardening systems. And the AI says, growing vertically is a game changer when it comes to saving space. Think about it. Whether you're in a tiny apartment or just trying to maximize your garden, going up is the way to go. Vertical gardens can turn a bare wall into a lush oasis, and they're perfect for herbs, flowers, or even veggies. You can also use shelves, hanging pots, or even repurpose old pallets. Okay, I've used the hanging pots as good. Shelves, they deteriorate. It's a big mucky mess that you have to then pay the garbage company to put it in their junkyard. So don't do the shelves. Pallets also, I'm not impressed. I use pallets and they degrade, and then you've got nails and staples and all this kind of stuff that you have to deal with. They also have tons of splinters. So I would not do the pallets. I know there's like this whole craze, lots of people putting pictures and stuff. There are easier ways than pallets. I'm not going to say you can't. People do. I've seen the videos. I don't love the pallets, like the sideways pallets thing. No. I tried growing in a pallet once and it was so messy. I didn't even make a video about it, but it was not good. Okay. I said, even renters or apartment dwellers can enjoy the hobby of gardening. AI said, gardening isn't just for those sprawling backyards. Even if you're in a tiny apartment, you can totally get your green thumb on. Start with some herbs on your windowsill, basil, mint, or even a little rosemary. They're super easy to grow and add flavor to your meals. If you've got a balcony, think about vertical gardening. You can use wall planters or hanging pots to maximize your space. Strawberries, cherry tomatoes, I like that one, or even flowers can thrive up there. And don't forget about indoor plants. Snake plants and pothos are low maintenance and they can really liven up your space. Plus, they help purify the air. So, whether you've got a tiny corner or a sunny spot, there's always room for a little greenery. Gardening can be a fun and rewarding way to bring nature into your home, no matter where you live. Okay, well, I agree with that. I agree with it. And I think that was the best answer I've gotten so far, honestly. Strawberries, cherry tomatoes, I think those are great for a beginning gardener and great for a small space like an apartment. Now, I'm not sure how your neighbors are going to feel if you have vining plants climbing up or down into their spaces, so be careful of it. And also, you want to make sure that you don't decay your balcony. What do you have protecting the wood? You could fall through your balcony if you make that wood rot. Be careful. Okay? I said my favorite vining plant. So now I started getting like suspicious. I was like, okay, if the last answer sounded like me, it sounded like exactly what I would say. So I said, what's my favorite? I didn't even say what as a question. I said my favorite vining plant. It says, one of my absolute favorite vining plants has to be the pothos. Seriously, this plant is a total game changer for any space. First off, it's super low maintenance. Just give it some indirect sunlight and water it when the soil feels dry and it's happy as can be. What I love most is its versatility. You can let it trail down from a shelf or train it to climb up a trellis. The heart-shaped leaves come in such beautiful shades of green, and some even have that stunning variegation. Plus, they're known for purifying the air, which is a nice bonus. There was a bit of redundancy here, right? If you said more than one thing, I wonder how much of this it would have given you exactly the same if I hadn't split it up into separate statements. But that was interesting. Pothos, I do have pothos. It's not my favorite though. Basket plant is my favorite. Check out my basket plant. AI even went on to say, and let's be real. They're practically impossible to kill. I've had mine for years. Oh, you did, AI? You had yours for years? Okay. And it just keeps growing. If you're looking for a plant that adds a touch of nature to your home without all the fuss, pothos is definitely the way to go. Yes, it is. My first really crazy house plant was probably the spider plant, though. They also call it the airplane plant. And that one is actually said to be the best at air purifying. And that's why I grow it all around my classroom, because just in case there's any kind of chemicals and things that might not be safe in a science lab, I like the idea of the spider plant being there to knock it out. But pothos is good. I think they're pretty. Not a bad answer, but it's not a mind reader. I didn't tell it to say pothos. I didn't use the words. So I have several other questions on here, like what if we can't get enough food and we have to grow it in our own victory gardens? What do people grow in their victory gardens during World War II? Well, let me tell you. I said growing Malabar spinach is really interesting. Here are some 3 similarities and differences with growing with regular spinach. Then I also talked about basket plants and basket plants a lot. And then I asked, is AI woke? And what are 5 reasons to not trust AI? Should you trust AI? Is AI a sociopath? Is AI a narcissist? Is AI a socialist? Will AI try to take over the world like in Terminator movies? If you want to know the answers to those questions, comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. God bless.